Claire Foran is writing about this over at the National Journal. Bernie Sanders has come out with an environmental justice platform. To the best of my knowledge, no other candidate has done this in either party. In fact, I would submit to you the vast majority of white people don't even know what I'm talking about when I say environmental justice. Environmental justice has to do with the fact that if you look at, for example, the Cancer Alley in East Texas and across Louisiana, where all the refineries are sited there on the Texas Gulf Coast, and the prevailing winds in this country are west to east, and so the wind carries all the poison from the airborne poisons from those refineries off to the east into Louisiana. If not, I've driven through that area several times actually, and if all of the communities are not communities of color, I missed it. Because it sure looked to me like the whole Cancer Alley area was mostly African Americans and some Latino communities. In Detroit and in Chicago, you've got places where there are giant piles of pet coke, the waste byproduct from burning coal power plants. And in the ones near Chicago are actually on their way to being shipped to China, where they can reburn the stuff. It's illegal to reburn it here in the United States because it's so poisonous. I mean, it produces so much carbon dioxide and other waste. Nasty. It's a nasty waste. Who is downwind from these giant open air piles of toxic waste? Black communities. Who gets to live near the chemical factories? Black communities. Where do, when the chemical industry decides that they're going to build a factory, do they build it in some nice white suburb in Connecticut that's got $300,000 homes? No. They'll find an African-American community in rural Mississippi where the average, house value is $30,000 and people have very little income, and the whole area has been decimated because they used to make textiles down there, and now, the insane trade policies since Reagan have shipped all those jobs over to Asia. And they'll say, well, we'll give you a few jobs as guards at the chemical plant here. We're going to put it in a chemical plant. And people have no political power. They have it. So environmental justice means pushing back on the intentional environmental destruction of communities of color. And Bernie Sanders has this is fascinating. Claire Foran writing, and again, I'm not saying this because I'm a Bernie Sanders fan. I want every Democratic candidate to be taking these positions, and frankly, I would like the Republican candidates to have to answer to these positions. She writes, Sanders has built a reputation as an outspoken environmentalist, but the senator is not particularly well known as a defender of environmental justice, a grassroots movement that seeks to shield low-income and minority communities from the worst impacts of air pollution and environmental degradation. That may be about to change. Last week, Sanders offered up an environmental justice amendment in the United States Senate in response to legislation that would effectively block President Obama's efforts to curb greenhouse gas emissions from power plants. The amendment calls on Congress to affirm a wide array of statistics pointing to the heightened public health risks faced by African Americans, Hispanics, and American Indians and Alaskan Natives as a result of air pollution. Now, this is not something Bernie's doing on the campaign trail. It's not something he's issuing press releases about. This is something he's trying to legislate. Mike Casca, aide to Senator Sanders, told the National Journal, scientific evidence shows communities of color suffer more from the negative effects of inhaling polluted air and drinking polluted water. The neighborhoods where these Americans live will continue to be the hardest hit if we don't stop climate change now. In addition to all these other things.